All right, here we are, another live broadcast coming to you from through LinkedIn Live. I am Lori Swanson, the CEO of Inspire Tech, the founder of Career Alchemy Academy. And I thought today I might have to hypnotize everybody. Follow the Career Alchemy necklace that says Alchemist on it. It has a wonderful, beautiful design on the other side. Let your eyes. Okay. I just was looking at the necklace and I thought, oh my God, I could hypnotize people. Join Career. Oh, wait, I should do that. Join Career Alchemy. Join Career Alchemy. Now's the time. But really, I shouldn't need to hypnotize people because it's so awesome inside Career Alchemy Academy. Um, And if you were part of the event that we had for everybody, the Organized 365, where Lisa Woodruff came in last month, or actually this month, we're almost at the end of March, but it was a couple of weeks ago. It was so fabulous, and that's not even the tip of the iceberg for all the cool stuff that's happening inside the academy. So run, don't walk to follow that QR code. Uh, That's enough of that. That's enough of that fun. I always wanted to try. Have you ever been hypnotized? I tried to get hypnotized for weight loss years and years. It didn't work. It did not work. What works is me not eating sugar and flour. That's what works. No hypnosis has worked. But in any case, what I want to talk to you about today are the 5 steps to expanding your belief and your capacity. My phone is beeping, but turn it off. Your belief and your capacity as you step into a new role, whether I always consider us leaders, women leading. I always consider us women leaders. I consider whether I'm leading a team of 0, just me, or a team of 12, which I've led in the past, no matter what, we are leading. And so lately, what I've noticed in my coaching calls is a theme. There's like a common thread going through, and I know that this is something that's important because this isn't, even though I'm seeing it recently in conversations, it is something that I've blogged about before. It is something that I've coached around before. So it is, I think, a recurring theme that is worth paying attention to and worth talking about again. So uh, I'm going to start with the first of 2 Lori stories today. So the first one is about 2 begonia plants. So I don't know, this was several years ago, because if you've looked up the blog, I don't know, but I would say it was probably 2, 3, 4 years ago, I blogged about this. But my stepdad and I had gone out and we had each gotten a begonia plant. At the same place. They were essentially the same size begonia plants in the same green little begonia container. We went home to our separate houses, and I planted my begonia plant in a pot that I had available, and my stepdad had done the same. And a few weeks later, I was over at my mom and stepdad's house, and I noticed this begonia plant in this pot, and I thought to myself, that can't possibly be the plant that we both got on the same day. Like, it can't possibly be that same plant, because my begonia, while it had been growing, was about the size of a softball. His begonia was about the size of a beach ball. I mean, it was enormous by this time. And that's why I was in such disbelief. I thought for sure he bought the plant that size or whatever. So I asked him, of course, and he's like, "Oh no, that's the same plant that we got at the same time together. That's the same, the one I had gotten." And so the difference was the pot. That I had chosen a smaller pot. The plant had grown just to the size of accommodating that pot. And my stepdad, who happens to have the real green thumb in the family, his begonia plant, he like, for me, I thought, that pot's enormous. Why are you putting this small plant? Why would you do that? It looks like it's going to get eaten up by that pot. But in fact, what it gave the plant was room to expand, room to grow, room to become what it was possible. This enormous, beautiful flowering begonia plant. So, you know, how that relates. So in one of my recent conversations with my one of my coaching clients, here's the second Lori story of the day. We were talking about the fact she had been recently promoted and was doing her first I call them road shows, as she had taken on in this promotion, expanded her leadership role, had taken on some other teams that were now underneath her, and these were in Europe. And so it was her first chance to get over there, meet them in person, and kind of, you know, go and see the plants, meet the people in the manufacturing facilities, those sorts of things. So she was doing this tour, and she said, she had returned, and we're in our call, and I said, so tell me, how was it? And she goes, I have to tell you, they had planned, you know, because there were different regions, right? They had planned all of them, um, dinners of local cuisine. We went to tours on historic sites. She goes, in fact, in one of the facilities, all the employees lined up to greet me as I came. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. She goes, oh, no. She said, I was really uncomfortable. And when you have a feeling, there's always a thought behind it. That's what we talk about when I coach around the mindset model. That our feelings are not just random, that we are thinking something, right? And I was like, well, what were you thinking? And she said, what I was thinking was, I've disrupted their work, added to their workload, and that this attention feels excessive. And I said, that's interesting, because my thoughts were, this is what happens when you step into a bigger pot. Like, this is the time to fully own that you have the capacity to grow and to be in that pot. Like, you have to believe it, and then you have to step into that capacity of belief, and so you're taking up all of the space, that is that's, I guess I would say, space that's required, or space that's given for that role. It's what's needed for that role is this expanded capacity, expanded belief and capacity. And so, leadership isn't just about gaining a title or gaining new responsibilities. And again, it isn't even about the number of people or projects you have, like none of that. It's about expanding your belief and your capacity in yourself to embody a new identity that you've stepped into, you as a leader. And so my client had been given like this bigger pot, this bigger space, but she was still having smaller pot thoughts. I guess I'll say smaller pot thoughts, right? And so, you need to, first of all, recognize it. And then here's 5 things you can do, the 5 steps to expanding your belief in your capacity as a leader, in whatever way that looks, but it really owning it, right? What do you do? So step number 1 is what I call expect the best. So as you take on more work, a bigger role, more responsibilities, a bigger title. I mean, again, that might be happening, but expect sort of the best. Receive what comes with that new role, and that it is the best thing. So it isn't this, she like, it isn't the thought of I'm disrupting the situation, but really believing that you have the know-how, that you are, that the people want to hear from you, that they actually want your presence. They're excited to have someone over from the United States to talk, to meet with this group, that maybe that doesn't happen from the leadership team all that often. Just expect the best, that and believe that what's happening is meant for you. Okay, step two. So expect the best. Step two is challenging those limiting thoughts. So it's similar to expecting the best, because that's absolutely a mindset. But when you feel yourself contracting, you want to notice and challenge the thoughts that make you feel like you're contracting, like, I don't deserve this recognition, or I put people out. I'm taking up too much space, right? If a plant could think, if that begonia, that my stepdad planted, this little begonia in this large pot, it had thought, oh my gosh, it doesn't think, oh my gosh, this pot's too big for me, you know, I shouldn't grow that big. No, it's like, I'm going to expand myself to take up this space, to use this environment that's been given to me, this opportunity, and use it, like embody it. And so you want to challenge those mental constraints that are happening, and remind yourself that you're meant to grow, and that people are excited to see you, to meet you, and set those small pot thoughts, challenge those small pot thoughts, but don't believe them anymore. Because I think that thinking that the pot's too big for you, you is only going to keep you small. Is only going to keep you small. So so expect the best, challenge the limiting thoughts using the mindset model if you know it, or if you want to learn it and become an expert at self-coaching yourself, join Career Alchemy Academy. Don't let me, I don't have to hypnotize you to say, everyone gets, I have these necklaces. This is a prize when you join a gift when you join Career Alchemy Academy. So step number 3 is to push outside your comfort zone. So when you feel things are getting comfortable in your career, it's time to shake things up and look for your bigger pot. So when you begin to find like the bigger pot, then you begin to take actions that might be giving you a queasy feeling, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You can even tell yourself, I'm becoming someone different in this process. And ask yourself, like, what kind of leader is required for this bigger pot? What do I need to think? What do I need to do to really take up the space of this bigger pot? And then step into it, shake it up, go for the bigger pot, and then, push yourself outside your comfort zone and step into it. So that's number 3. Number 4 is trusting your inner authority. As you grow yourself as a leader, you will need to lean into your intuition. The research shows that CEOs trust, like, how they make decisions is part, gut instinct or intuition. I like to call it intuition, or inner authority, trusting that along with the data, alongside the data that they're gathering. So certainly they're gathering data and kind of evaluating all of that. But then there's this part when it's time to make a decision, where the inner authority comes forward and says, yep, this is what I think we need to do. Let's do it. And then get behind it, because that's what happens, is the leader then leads. As other people are feeling uncomfortable, and as other people might be facing thoughts like, this is disruptive, this is uncomfortable, this is new territory, this is change, all of those things, the leader has gathered the information and the data, and then listened to their intuition and trusted their inner authority to make the decision. So that is step 4 of how you expand your belief in your capacity in yourself. So expecting the best, challenging the limiting thoughts, uh, pushing outside your comfort zone and actually going for the bigger pot, trusting your inner authority, and then finally accepting it, accepting the pot, accepting the role. You've been, you know, for you've either deliberately been planning for this and building your career this way, or just by the nature of how you are, how you work, how you engage with people, you've been recognized and rewarded for that, and promoted, and again, either sideways, but expanding um, your areas within the business that expanding your relationships onto other parts of the business, or upwards where you're taking on new responsibilities and those sorts of things. So accepting that you're accepting this bigger pot, that you are this leader, that they're, letting go of any resistance, letting go of the questioning of yourself, or the self-doubt, or the thought that you've disrupted other people, because you're now coming in with your inner authority of what and belief of what needs to happen next in this role that you've taken on. You're not questioning that, but you are in the bigger pot. You're in the bigger pot. And so I would say that if you're there, if you're like this person who's been planted in this bigger pot and you're looking around yourself, you're going to say, here I am. This is where I'm meant to be. And how do I know? Because this is where I am. So I am going to um, thrive here. I'm going to believe in that I'm here for a reason, that I have what's necessary for this bigger pot. If I don't know exactly how to go the next step forward, I know that I can find someone who can give me the resources, the information, their expertise, their added, effort to keep moving us forward and growing us and expanding us in this bigger pot. So those are your 5 steps for expanding your belief and your capacity to be in a bigger pot when it comes to you, or even if you've searched for it and planted yourself there. Awesome. Go for it. Go for it. So that is it for today. If you are ready to step into a bigger pot, then join Career Alchemy Academy. You are getting more and more motivated and inspired to join Career Alchemy Academy. It's the perfect place to build community and to build belief and to build capacity in yourself and where you're going. That's all I have for you today. Peace. See you next week.